In this unit, we're going to go over linear equations, and I'm going to give you an example that will give you an overview of what this unit is about. Let's say we have a situation where there's this boy, Tom, and he has a penny in his penny jar, and he is going to be given 2 pennies per day. So what we want to do is we want to demonstrate this with the penny jar, and then there's the penny. So on day 0, before he even begins earning pennies per day, he will have 1 penny in the jar. However, on day 1, he will get 2 pennies, and so here you can see that he has a total of 3 pennies. Day 2, he gets to earn another 2 pennies. Day 3, another 2 pennies. And so if we count the total amount, he will now have 7 pennies on day 3, and then he will have 9 pennies on day 4. However, he has been given a steady rate of 2 pennies per day. Let's look at the situation in words. So the first letter I have here is story or situation. The S stands for story or situation. So our situation is that Tom earns 2 pennies per day, but he started with 1 penny in his penny jar. The rate of change is 2 pennies per day, and we represent that with 2 times, let's use the variable D for day, 2 times the number of days. However, he started with 1 penny, so he already has a penny plus 1. If we wanted to use our expression, then we would say that the total is equal to 2 pennies per day plus 1. Or if we were going to use the variables y and x, y equals 2x plus 1. Once we have our situation or our story, then we like to put it in a table to help us keep track of our variables. So what we do is we place the expression at the top, 2x plus 1, and that helps us keep track of how to calculate what y is equal to. So X stands for the number of days. And so on the 0 day, it's 2 times 0 plus 1. So 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. That tells us the total for the 0th day. But what about on day 1? We replace the X with 1. So 2 times 1 is equal to 2 plus 1, which is equal to 3. And again, Y stands for our total, so that's the total number of pennies that we have on day 1. And as you can see, we filled the rest of the table based on the number of days and then what our total is. Now that we have our X and Y, we can come up with our algebraic equation. Well, our algebraic equation for a linear equation is the form y equals mx plus b. So how do we come up with that equation? Well, our total is often represented with the variable y. Our rate is represented with the variable m. The number of days in this situation is going to be represented with x. But then we begin with something, so our start is the variable b. And that's how we filled in our equation. So y is equal to 2 pennies per day plus where we began, which was 1 penny. And now that we have our equation, we can graph that equation for our values of x, where x is our x coordinate and y is our y coordinate. And so if I wanted to graph my x values and my y values, when x is 0, y is 1. When x is 1, y is 3. When x is 2, y is 5. When x is 3, y is 7. And when x is 4, y is 9. This is called a linear equation because the rate of change stays the same and therefore it forms a straight line.